Hi, I'm Mike Christiansen, and this is Mel Bay's Complete Jazz Guitar Method video. On this video, I'm going to be playing the various elements that are used in playing jazz guitar. I'm going to be playing a lot of the examples which are contained in Mel Bay's Jazz Guitar Method book, and although you can use the video by itself, the best combination would be to use the video with the book. Because there's so much information in this video on jazz guitar, I want to remind you to don't hesitate or be afraid to pause, rewind the video, or freeze it, and make sure that you have each section of the video before moving on to the next. One of the things we want to talk about at the beginning here is how to get a good jazz guitar sound. You notice that I'm playing a thick hollow body guitar, and I have heavy strings on the guitar. Now, if you don't have a jazz guitar, suppose you have a solid body electric guitar, you could also get a jazz tone by using heavier strings on your guitar. I would recommend that you use no less than maybe like an 11/1000 on your first string, and possibly even heavier strings than that. Also notice that I'm using the front pickup on my guitar to get a kind of a mellow tone, and I have a dry setting on the amplifier without a lot of effects, without distortion, so that I get a nice, warm, clean sound. This is your first string, E. This is the second string, B. The third string, G. The fourth string, D. The fifth string, A. And the sixth string, E. A crucial element in playing jazz guitar is knowing how to play swing rhythm. With swing rhythm, when you play 2 eighth notes, rather than divide the beat into 2 equal parts like this, you divide the beat into a long, short pattern, so the first note is longer than the second, sounding like this. If you're familiar with music, it's similar to a one-beat triplet with the middle note tied. If you have a hard time thinking of swing rhythm, you could also think of the melody to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Most people sing that with swing rhythm. That would give you an idea of how that rhythm should feel. I'm going to play example number 1 out of the book, which is just one note, the second string, 5th fret. But these eighth notes are played using swing rhythm. And I should point out right here, too, that with each example I'll be playing, you're going to hear 4 clicks, or one measure of clicks, to establish the tempo, and then the example will begin. And you might want to practice all of the examples slowly on your own before playing them along with the video to get the right fingering, and then play it up to tempo with the video. So this is example number 1 using swing rhythm. Another method you could use to get the notes to swing is to accent the second eighth note of 2. So it would sound like this. If you played rock guitar, some bluegrass guitar, that might be a little difficult at first where you're used to accenting the downbeat, but you accent the upbeat in a jazz swing feel. Another method used to make the music swing is to accent notes which precede or follow rests in this type of fashion. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. You can hear the accent on the note just prior to and just following the rest. On the video, I'm going to be playing you the elements of rhythm guitar and solo guitar. Let's talk about rhythm guitar first and some chords. The chords we want to begin with are bar chords, and we're going to learn the bar chords in 2 categories. From this first category, these bar chords have the root on the 6th string. And you're going to hear me talking about that term quite a bit through the video, the root. That's the note that has the same letter name as the chord that's being played or the scale that's being played. So with this first category of bar chords, the root is on the 6th string. I'm going to play some of the various patterns for you that are shown in the book. If you have the book, they're on page 15. But this is the major bar chord form, the minor bar chord form, this is the 7th bar chord form, and this little finger is optional on the 2nd string, the minor 7th bar chord, the suspended, the 7 suspended, the minor major 7, the 9th chord, the add 9, the minor 9, the minor add 9, and the 13th chord. This is exercise number 4, which uses bar chords from the first category. I'm going to be strumming down 4 times in each measure, and that's a fairly common format in jazz, playing down 4 times in 4/4 time, 4 times down in each measure, with a little accent on 2 and 4. So the strum would sound like this. Now you'll notice that I'm using what we call a staccato strum. I'm making each strum a little short, and I'm lifting my fingers not completely off the strings, but I'm raising the fingers slightly after each strum, rather than let them ring, to give that kind of a dampening effect. Exercise number 4 with bar chords from the first category. Now let's learn the bar chords from the second category. These chord forms have the root on the 5th string, so if you were to position them with the bar finger in the 5th fret, for example, they would be Ds. The major bar chord form looks like this, and another form of the major chord with root on the 5th string is done like this. The minor, the 6th, the 7th chord, another form of the 7th chord, the minor 7th, the major 7th, another form of the major 7th, involves a little stretch there, and another form of the major 7 where the first finger bar is only over 3 strings, the minor major 7, the suspended, the 7 suspended, the minor 7 suspended, the 9th chord, major 9th, minor 9th, add 9, the minor add 9, the 11th chord, and the 13th, which is sometimes called the 7/6 chord. And here's another form of the 13th chord. This is example number 7 from the book, and this example uses bar chords only from the second category. Again, just 4 times down in each measure with a little accent on beats 2 and 4. In this next example, we're going to use a combination of bar chords from the two categories. Now, the reason you have two categories of bar chords is to keep your chord changes convenient. For example, if you're changing from a G7 to a C7, if you only used one category, you would be playing G here and moving all the way up to C here. But by knowing two categories, you can play the G7 here, and from the second category, the C7 here. In example number 10, bar chords are used from both categories. The R6 by the chord is just to remind you that that chord form has its root on the 6th string, and the R5 would remind you that the bar chord has its root on the 5th string. Example number 10. Some of the most popular chords used in jazz guitar playing are called dead string chords. When these chords are played, some strings are intentionally made dead or muted by tilting one of the fingers of the left hand. For example, when I play the major 7 form, you'll notice that my first finger tilts slightly and bumps the 5th string, and also the 1st string is touched with my 1st finger down near the base of the finger. So when I strum the chord, the only notes that you hear are those with fingers actually pushing on the string. The other strings are touched and made dead. So the major 7 would sound like this. Let me demonstrate some of the dead string chords from what we'll call the first category. Like bar chords, these chords have their root on the 6th string. This is the major chord form, and of all the dead string chords, this one might be one of the most tricky because you have to bring your thumb over the top and actually play the root with your thumb, and then the other strings, or fingers rather, 1, 2, and 3 are used. So it would be played like this, with strings 5 and 1 being dead. The major 7 looks like this. The 6th chord, the minor 7th chord, the minor 6th, the minor 7 suspended, the 9th chord, and with this 9th, the root is actually on the 6th string, but it is not fingered. Just imagine that it's there. The major 9, again, with the thumb over on the root, and when you play this chord, sometimes it's played without the 6th string, just play the top 4 strings. Then the minor 9th chord, the add 9 chord, which is again using the thumb, the 6-9 or the major 6-9 chord, the diminished chord form, the augmented, the 11th chord, and the 13th. In this next exercise, number 13 out of the book, the only chords that are used are dead string chords from the first category. Again, 4 times down in a measure, 4 beats to the measure. This next group of dead string chords have their root on the 5th string. The first pattern will be the major pattern, like this, then the minor, the 7th, the 7 suspended, major 7, minor 7, another form of the minor 7, and still another form of the minor 7th chord. This particular chord is very effective if you're going from a minor 7 to a minor 6th. The minor 7 suspended, the 6th chord, another form of the 6th, which really has a stretch in it, the minor 6th, the 9th, the major 9, the minor 9th, the 6-9, and an option of this 6-9 would be to lay the 3rd finger across 2 strings, the diminished chord, the 11th, and the augmented chord. In this example, which is number 14 out of the book, all of the chords which are used are dead string chords from the 2nd category with their root on the 5th string. The next example uses dead string chords from both categories, those with the root on the 6th string and also those with the root on the 5th string. Like bar chords, knowing 2 categories helps keep your chord forms in one position or close to one another. Example number 16. Example number 18 uses a combination of bar chords and dead string chords. Another group of chords which are commonly used in jazz guitar are what we call bass string chords, and sometimes referred to as the Freddie Green chords. Freddie Green was the legendary guitar player that played for years with Count Basie, and his style of playing involved just playing the lower strings on the guitar. So in a way they were a type of dead string chord, but only played the lower strings on the guitar. This first group of dead string chords, the bass string chords that we're going to learn, have the root on the 6th string, like the bar chords and the other dead strings that we did with the root on the 6th string. This would be the 7th chord, the minor 7th chord, the major 7th chord, the 6th, the minor 6th, and the diminished. Notice that the diminished and the minor 6th look the same, and the augmented chord. Example number 21 uses dead string chords, or the bass string chords, only from this first category with the root on the 6th string. These are the bass string chords from the second category, which have their root on the 5th string. The 7th chord looks like this. The minor 7th chord, the major 7 chord, the 6th chord, the minor 6th chord, and the diminished, which again looks like the minor 6th, and the augmented chord. Exercise number 23 only uses bass string